everybody will get to love and enjoy to play.
So yeah, there's opportunities to support developers in these regions, and it doesn't mean getting something that's alien to you. It means getting something that's fresh and unique, and in a lot of cases something that you already know but coming from a new angle, which is always good.
Thank you also. Like this is super fun, and thank you for giving us this platform and giving us this opportunity.
All hail the Penguin Master. Thank you.
Now I'm extremely hungry for some hot pot, some pho, some ramen, some chicken noodle soup. I don't even know. We have another set of sweet game trailers and reveals for you to sink your teeth into. And then we'll be talking to the dev team behind the classic RPG-inspired artistic fever dream, She Dreams Elsewhere, from Davion Gooden and Studio Severe. Check out the trailers and we will be right back.
Welcome to Lahaina, a wonder of endless beauty and nature. Let your troubles melt away on this tropical paradise. Relax your mind and soul on one of our breathtaking beaches, or stimulate your adventurous side with exciting activities found all over the island. The Aloha spirit will leave its mark on you and keep you coming again and again. Get ready for an unforgettable experience that is sure to bring you peace, serenity, and plenty of magical memories. Lahaina, the destination of a lifetime.
I will now gauge your interest in multiplayer by simulating a multiplayer experience. I am helping. We are doing this together. We are friends. People bond by doing activity.
I'm Gwen Frey, and this is Labrat.
Good. You have unlocked a new puzzle. Begin the next puzzle. Good work. Here is your achievement.
You are a tester. Your job is to evaluate a puzzle game that is being crafted by this artificial intelligence.
I am giving you control of your very own gun. Please be responsible.
Unfortunately, the AI has gained access to more data than we anticipated, and it seems to be generating new games based on whatever it finds.
The place where you live is dark and full of crimes.
What are we going to do? There are so many guns. You have nothing on me.
For updates on the game's progress, you can follow me on Twitter. And you can support us by wishlisting Labrat on Steam, or by signing up for the closed beta at labrat.study. Thank you.
Welcome to Palm Mall. We're proud to welcome you to your home away from home. Grab some friends and head down to Waterson's, where you can shop till you drop with the best deals in town. Visit the world-famous Paradise Cinema, featuring wall-to-wall screens and unparalleled sound, and have a blast with the whole family at Luna Dreamland, featuring our newest, most wildest attraction, the Hall of Mirrors. Our courteous staff is here to serve you at all times. After all, only the best for our guests. So much variety, so much style. What are you waiting for? We can't wait for you to come visit us. Palm Mall, a place to relax, a place to explore, a place to dream.
Indie games are incredibly powerful because they often tackle themes, topics, and issues that are deeply human, but often sidelined by a lot of the major big budget titles. She Dreams Elsewhere is one of those indie games and is being made by one incredibly talented person, Davion Gooden, designer, director, writer, and pretty much everything else. Davion, thank you for joining. How you doing?
Thanks for having me. The world's still kind of on fire, but other than that, I'm vibing. How are you, man?
You know what? We will get to the world on fire bit because there's an interesting part of your development that I kind of want to check out. But first, tell us about She Dreams Elsewhere. What is it, and what do you want to explore with it?
Yeah, for sure. She Dreams Elsewhere, it's a surreal adventure RPG about dreams, nightmares, and all types of self-identity fun stuff. You're playing as a woman named Dahlia, and you're in a coma. And you got to figure out how you got in a coma, find a way to wake up, confront your inner nightmares, and just have this horrible trippy experience the entire way. Overall, it's a game about how it's okay to not be okay, and just to reach out to other people, because you never know what they're going through, and all that other fun existential stuff like that.
One of my first questions with this game was seeing it was all you doing this alone, and also seeing that it's something that hits on really personal themes. And we've seen a fair few one-person development teams that handles heavy subject matter, Undertale's an easy one to grab. But what's that process like, making a game on your own, but also, for want of a better phrase, putting your pains into that game, or your kind of learnings into that game? What's that like, and what are the challenges day to day that people might not know because they just see a game that looks cool and it's one-person development team? What is the true human cost of a one-person development team?
It's a blessing and a curse, because on one hand, I've pretty much been able to do exactly what I wanted to do with this game, and I'm a weird guy with a lot of weird ideas. So let's just kind of do that unfiltered and just do me. Where normally in a bigger development team, it'd be it'd have to pass X amount of approvals, get past the marketing department, all this stuff. So having that freedom has been super liberating. It's a little lonely sometimes, but it is fun, and there's very few things I'd rather want to be doing right now. So I'm very thankful for it, but also I'm very, very tired.
So you mentioned earlier that you enjoyed having the kind of autonomy to make the thing your own, but the support is really kind of tricky thing. Do you think we're getting to a stage where developing indie games is being supported by bigger publishers in a more meaningful way? We have the Xboxes going out there to find smaller developers and PlayStation and that. Do you think that it's getting better, and how do you think it could improve? The games industry could improve and support creators with unique voices so that there's more perspectives around?
I definitely do think it's getting better. Even just the support that I've gotten from big platforms like Xbox, Sony, or not Sony, Nintendo, all these other platforms that are just actually reaching out for opportunities and just just stuff just to support what I'm doing. That's dope, and I don't think you would have seen that, especially for a game like this, even 5-10 years ago. So that's a really big set. With that being said, we still got a hell of a lot of work to do. And I think that really comes down to who is working in the industry, who are the gatekeepers of this industry, and like who is like funding these projects, who is like getting these like deals like signed, and it's a matter of like actually like going out and like actively doing the work and like reaching out to like a more like diverse like just creative squad, actually going out and like putting your money where your mouth is and like just funding like actual projects, like not even in like the tens of like thousands, but I'm talking like millions. Like why isn't there like a Kawoom Nights Fund that like Xbox has, which is like funding like AAA games like made by like diverse teams? I know it's like happening in the background, but like we could do a lot better, I think. And it's crazy because like even like developers who are like, they might have like a few more people than me, but like we're still kind of doing the same thing. We're like the same age, like same experience level. Like they're still having like trouble like getting money. So it's like, what is happening here? I don't know.
Yeah,
video games are weird.
There's definitely room for major publishers and platform holders being louder about doing it, because and giving people avenues about reaching out to put themselves forward, because I feel like it's happening in the background, but it shouldn't be in the background. It should be in the foreground, so that people who may have these ambitions know that there is a path there, right? There's like almost like there's gatekeeping by not talking about it enough.
Right.
And we should be in a industry that is open about it and welcomes it. But yeah, I hope that we get to a stage where that is possible, and hopefully games like She Dreams Elsewhere does kind of help push that kind of path forward. Davion, thank you so much for taking the time out of your incredibly busy day to talk to us about She Dreams Elsewhere.
Davion's development journey with She Dreams Elsewhere is really fascinating. He was a part of the Mix's Black Voices in Gaming freshman class, which was super awesome. I'm looking forward to the release. Next up, we have another set of trailers, and Tam will be heating it up with another spicy interview with Spanish developer Severio and co-founder of Troglodytes, who will share his team's game, Ito no Yami Blind Fate. Let's get it.
Chinatown Detective Agency. Where do I even start? Well, it's a vibrant, neon-lit point-and-click adventure game set in a future Singapore in the year 2032. It's a dark world inspired by hard-boiled detective films, comics, and novels. But out of all of our sources of inspiration, one towers above all. The classic Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego games of the late 80s and 90s. And these were the games that inspired Chinatown's most important gameplay mechanic, real research. As you play the role of Amira Dharma, an ex-cop and Interpol officer, you'll encounter cases with puzzles that will require you to literally look beyond the game for answers. That's right, you're going to have to consult Google to find the answers to the puzzles that cover a range of topics in history, art, science, and cryptography. These cases will also see you traveling the world to exotic locations in search of the next lead or to track down a person of interest. In essence, it's a game that asks you to be a real detective. We hope you'll join Amira as she unravels conspiracies and infiltrates criminal syndicates amid a backdrop of a chaotic world hanging on by a thread. Chinatown Detective Agency comes out later this year on PC, via Steam, and a few other storefronts, and on Nintendo Switch.
It is my great pleasure to be joined by the CEO of Troglodytes Games, Saverio Caproscio, and we're going to be talking about Blind Fate Edo no Yami, a super exciting anime-inspired action game that I love the look of. Saverio, how are you doing today?
Hi, Tamor. I'm fine. Hello, everybody. How are you?
Doing good. Thank you so much. So, Edo no Yami, tell us a little bit about it. Blind Fate Edo no Yami, I should say the full name. Tell us a little bit about it. Where did the idea for it come from? It looks super cool.
Yes, thank you. The idea of the game comes, of course, by something innovative that we want to apply in the world of the video games. Basically, the main character is blind, so you cannot see the environment. At the same time, he's also a cyborg, meaning that he can receive, handle data. And with the help of this data and of the sensors, he can perceive the environment, so you can navigate through the level. And we thought that this kind of combination is a really cool idea and will be welcomed by the public.
Yeah, that's a really cool intersection of two kind of concepts. How does it actually manifest in the video game? You talked about the character being blind and then receiving data. Can you break it down a little more so people who might not understand how that comes together can kind of get a grasp of how the game plays?
Yes, indeed. There are some other concepts. He receives data in his brain about the environment. Okay, so he sees the environment like, let's say, Google Map. So you see everything. But those data are old. They are from the past because there was an apocalypse. Due to the narrative, there was an apocalypse. So now, for instance, the environment has changed after so many years. So yes, you can trust the data that you have, but you cannot trust totally because there is a bridge, and then this bridge has collapsed. It does no longer exist. So you have to retrieve new data, and guess where's those new data? The enemies. So you have to kill key enemies. They are machines. They have eyes. They record everything. You have to steal the data from the enemies so you can see the world, how actually it looks like.
So one thing I really love the look of is the action. Can you talk a bit about the inspirations and where you kind of are looking to in terms of other games or other forms of media in putting together the action at the core of Edo no Yami?
Yes, I mean, we took inspiration both from movies actually and games. I mean, a movie about a blind samurai is Zatoichi, and Blind Fury, if you remember those movies. And the settings, the futuristic settings, let's say, recalls a bit, let's say, just to say, Strider and other games like the Ninja Gaiden and other games that we loved when in our childhood. So of course we meet together.
And there's also one more mechanic to do with sensing and sensors and smell and that kind of stuff. It sounded really fascinating when I was learning about it. Can you tell me about it?
Yes, sure. Being blind, of course, you see the environment, but you don't see the things that are moving on and what's inside. For instance, something is hidden. So you have three sensors: the hearing sensor, the heat sensor, and the smell olfactory sensor. So you can see the stimulus that are produced by the enemies or by the environment. Now, if the enemy is approaching you, you will see the ripple of the sound of the steps of the enemy. So you will see the enemy is approaching, you can react. If you're stuck in a room, you can use the other sensor to find a way out. So yes, the mechanic of the sensor helps you to navigate through the level and to fight. It's also a component to fight the enemies.
For a developer that is kind of smaller and has this kind of big vision in the same way that a team like yours has for Blind Fate, what would you say? What piece of advice would you give them to take the risk or take the shot at their dream and make a game that they want to, even if they do feel that they might have some hurdles because they are smaller developers? How would you empower those kind of indie developers? What would you say to them?
So yeah, first of all, in my opinion, they should learn how to work together during some jams. There are many. Try to participate to any jams. Then you will see which concept you can work better, which is your reach in terms of cost, time, and production. And then once you have a, let's say, product you want to work with, well, at this moment you can start approaching, if needed, a publisher and to support your vision, as you said. So let's say start from very, very small things. We did, if I can, we start with our first game is Hyper Parasite, and then we moved a bit forward in the world of the indie, just because we were known among. We launched the game, so we were able to collaborate with 101 XP for this game with bigger ambition.
That's awesome. So stick together, baby steps, and you two can make a game inspired by Zatoichi and Strider. That looks pretty awesome.
Thanks.
Saverio, thank you so much for your time. Super excited to see more of the game and check it out ourselves. Thank you so much.
Definitely my type of game. I want to grab my samurai sword, do a double backflip, and slice foes in half. With our final interview, we will travel to Japan to the hot springs with our friend Derek Fields, co-founder of Waking Oni Games, to talk about his soon-to-be released game, Onsen Master. But first, some more slick trailers and upcoming releases.
someone so small, you need to be taught some respect. So let me enlighten you.
At a time where everyone is dreaming of relaxing in an onsen, Derek Fields, founder and director of Working Oni, wants you to manage one. Derek, what's going on here?
All centered on being a cozy game, centered on connectivity and bringing people together. Onsen Master was deeply inspired by a love for family films, especially Ghibli films, and I'm sure saying that out loud for some viewers, they might be able to catch some hints on what keenly influenced a game like Managing a Hot Spring. Spirited Away is a film that's very near and dear to myself, my family, and it's something that brought us together on the couch and in the theaters anytime those were brought to our city. And it stuck around with me, wanting to create a game that could center on those same things. What would it be like to manage a hot spring, to manage various spirits called yokai, and the different humans that are also visiting your onsen.
All right. So you mentioned a bunch of inspirations for Onsen Master earlier, and it sounds like it comes from a bunch of different people and perspectives being involved in the studio and the game. So you've described yourself as a BIPOC studio. Can you talk a little bit about what that means, and also what impact that has on Onsen Master as you create it?
One of the things that I didn't necessarily have growing up were games that included characters that were black and brown. It was always interacting with a protagonist that didn't necessarily look like me. And so I would love to add into the games that are now being represented in media that do have people that look like us, and be a part of that space.
Do you think we're getting better, and do you think it's kind of being led by the indies in the industry?
Yes and yes. I think things are absolutely getting better. I think there are certainly more games out there that are including people that look like each of us having this conversation now. I think absolutely indie games are championing this inclusion and this representation that needs to be seen across the industry as a whole. And because of that, there are certainly more kind of AAA level games that are including more BIPOC characters, and some very notable games too. And so I hope, optimistic me, I don't want that to stop. I want to see more. I want just it to continue happening.
As people, I know we said that it's getting better, but it feels like is there ways for us to signal to the broader games industry, maybe even the AAA industry, to be like, hey, we really want this, and really break through in a big way? Do you think how do we do that? Do we just support indie developers, or do we? I mean, should an indie developer out there who may be thinking about making a game just take the jump and do that thing that they think it might be a risk?
Yeah, when I think of that conversation, there are maybe 2 or 3 components that come to mind. One is the support, first and foremost, and ensuring that we are uplifting other developers who are building games and narratives that continue to add to the space of including BIPOC characters, and that also extends to LGBTQIA plus characters as well, and individuals within those games. It sends a signal. It sends a signal on social media when you start seeing certain stories being talked about, and how impactful they are for the community to see themselves represented. I'm not alone in experiencing Miles Morales Spider-Man, and how impactful having that sort of representation through and throughout not only the story but the communities that Miles played in throughout that narrative. And that's an example. When you see resounding feedback from Twitter and so on, it's important. I think for the other component, next to uplifting, is ensuring that we can provide resources to indie developers who are pursuant of that same endeavor. Because a lot of the times people who come from these backgrounds are marginalized and therefore don't have the same access to resources in order to produce these ideas.
There is a very, very real cause and effect. So yeah, supporting games where there are BIPOC, LGBTQIA plus characters is super important. Thank you so much for your time, Derek. I think we could talk about this all day long, but
absolutely,
I'm sure you've got a game about making people manage onsen teams. So I'll let you get back to that. But thank you so much. Those are just some of the awesome games being created by developers around the world. We had everything from drink cans fighting each other, to an action game with a duck, to a soothing town building simulator. And that's just a small selection of the amazing experiences that inclusive indie game developers are making around the world. Before we head off, I just want to give a huge thank you to all the indie developers and the publishers working with them who took the time and effort to create trailers for us and then talk to us. And I also want to thank everyone at GameSpot and The Mix for working so hard over the past few weeks to put this amazing showcase together. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Tam, I mean, it's so many great games and developers that we shared today. Exclusive and inclusive at the same time, which is great. The interviews were amazing. Thank you all for joining us. Thank GameSpot for showcasing these games. It means a lot to the developers. Of course, I'm also a developer myself. Again, my name's Justin Woodward from the Media Indie Exchange, The Mix at Indie Exchange, and we will catch you later. Peace.
You're watching Summer of Gaming 2021.
Finished watching the GameSpot presentation. Survival horror to cooking soup to brewing beer. What the duck, people? Yeah. I was like, really want to make sure I got duck out there. Yeah. Anyway, there was tons of great stuff there. But Michael, we were chatting yesterday and there were a lot of heavy topics addressed as well. And you're obviously our representative from GameSpot, and you wanted to elaborate on what the main message of the presentation was.
Yeah, first off, I want to give a special shout out to Tamar Hussein, who is one of my best friends at GameSpot. He does incredible work, and I miss him very much, and I can't wait to hang out with him again. He put a lot of effort into making this happen, because when we're having conversations about what we want to do for Play for All, which is our kind of charity drive and showcase for the summer, we wanted to drive, games that are that cover things like mental illness, representation, just people who are able to express themselves, who don't always get the chance to show their games on such a big stage. And that was the objective. And I feel like it was really achieved because Tam is such a great guy, and not just because he's my manager, but he's been a good friend and an inspiration for a very long time. So Tamar, shouts out to you. Thank you, dog. And a special shout out also to Justin Woodward, who's also from Southeast San Diego. Represent. He's the one who runs the mix, and y'all saw him on there. But Tam and Justin really did a great job at representing what we wanted to do with the Play for All showcase. So, yeah.
Michael, you're making me emotional.
I'm getting emotional.
I can see you're getting emotional. But talking about getting emotional, I felt like there was such range with this presentation. Avi, we were up there watching, and I felt like I was watching Spiral and I wanted to cry just within that 10 seconds. But then there was chill, fun ones with, what was it called? Rain on My Parade, and with the little clouds. So I don't know, what was sticking out to you on the chill and crying kind of radar, I guess?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when we were looking at Spiral, the first thing I said was, I'm like, is this like a game that's going to make me cry? Is this looking like a To the Moon, since we have like an old man kind of like going through his life? And then we saw the dog appear on screen and we're like, yep, we're going to cry. But yeah, Rain on Your Parade looks super cute. You're able to rain quite literally. There was a wedding. You could drop bread onto pigeons. Like, this looks like a funny game. And similar to, as you introed in, we have games like What the Duck. And it's really cool to see all of these games take like more of a comedic, kind of like laid back angle rather than let's drive really hard on the narrative. So you could just sit down and have fun. And look, you're given the nice lady lipstick. But I mean, Michael, you were talking about, representation and everything and feeling included. And I feel represented when I saw Derpy Conga, because I'm like, oh, okay, so I can grab people's hands with me. I'll grab Jackie, I'll grab Dan, and then attempt to jump over like a cliff or something. And if we make it, or if we go down, regardless, we're doing it together.
Demon, I wanted to pick your brain a little bit. You're like a veteran in this industry, I feel like, and you always talk about how much you appreciate indie games. So I just wanted to talk to you about what this presentation meant to you. I think we just saw such a range, and we heard these developers talking about the struggles that they face and just them trying to get resources. And you've kind of spoken about that before.
Yeah, well, I was super impressed with the lineup that you guys put together.
Thank you.
We're at the end of day 4 of E3, and we just saw a bunch of new games that still look awesome, and from a really diverse lineup of developers too. And they talked a little bit how it's sort of important to get games from voices that we haven't necessarily heard enough of in the past in front of gamers. And there are several that I saw today that I was really excited about. First up, El Paso Elsewhere. I think as soon as that game was up, we were all like, well, Max Payne with monsters. Yes. They were even sort of nailing that year 2000 PC third-person shooter look. That one looks really cool. It's got the bullet time and everything. I love Freshly Frosted because I love cookies and donuts. I think, and that one's all about frosting the bakery items in the right order, getting them over the conveyor belts. Maybe a little choo-choo rocket-ish in there. Maybe even my wife would play that one because she loves to bake. And then I loved Chinatown Detective Agency. That's the name, right? Chinatown Detective Agency?
So, yeah.
Taking a cue from Carmen Sandiego, where in order to solve the mysteries, you're going to have to do some real-world research. And that was yet another game here at E3 that had just awesome pixel art.
Aw, Damon had a long list of ones that he liked there. Dan, I want to talk to you. I think that a lot of these games talked about mental health, and in particular, She Dreams Elsewhere stuck out to me. And I just thought that it was this very unique blend, obviously very retro looking, but the developer spoke and was saying that I basically wanted people to know that it's okay to not be okay. And I just thought that was such a strong message. And what's so cool about the GameSpot presentation is that we heard so many people talking about mental health. And I feel like these creators can take those risks.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was a phenomenal showcase. Shout out to Tam and the entire team over at GameSpot. It was incredibly well done. So many amazing games that I now want to play and add to my wish list.
Yeah.
And chief among them is She Dreams Elsewhere, because they kind of lure you in with that Undertale-esque vibe, but there's so much more simmering beneath the surface. It doesn't feel necessarily as sort of tongue-in-cheek as what you'd expect from a game like Undertale, but I loved the aesthetic. I loved sort of the gameplay that we saw there, and I love the message behind it. A lot of people still stigmatize things like going to therapy, talking about mental health, when really the only way you're going to get better, the only way you're going to get right and feel better about yourself and just how everything's going. I mean, we went through a global pandemic. Many of us are still going through a global pandemic. Yeah. There is a lot of residual trauma there, and whether you process that through creating art like video games or talking to friends, talking to loved ones, talking to licensed healthcare professionals, that is definitely something that should be more talked about, more accepted. And if you see someone stigmatizing that in the chat, just tell that person to go to hell, log off, touch grass. They need to get their life together. Ideally, they need therapy too, but that might not be the case. But on a more positive note, Super Drink Brothers, a game about getting that aggression out as a can of soda by beating the ever-loving crap out of another can of soda. I really liked that one. Super joyous, super fun, super raucous. Golden Boy and I were kind of geeking out about that upstairs. Also, I enjoyed Onsen Master. I love a game that is influenced by Studio Ghibli, Spirited Away, and also it looked incredibly relaxing and chill. The same vibe I got from Freshly Frosted. Damon reached into my brain and took all the games I was going to talk about, but thankfully there were so many awesome ones that I can talk about these too. But games like Freshly Frosted, Onsen Master, they look just kind of relaxing, which after the year that we've all had as a society, I think that we could all use a little relaxation with a game like that. So I'm very excited to play those when they come out.
Okay, I love that both of you had such long lists. I was gonna ask y'all what your favorites were, but I just think my list had at least 8 titles on there. So I think we all just thoroughly enjoyed the presentation. I am really sad right now. I have to say goodbye to you guys, and I don't even know how to start. I've been going through my brain about how I'm going to exit this, and I really don't know what to say. I've had the honor and pleasure to work with many of you outside of this event, but getting to see all of you again, I just remembered, and I mean, I already knew this, but I realized tenfold how awesome all of you are. So it's been awesome. It's been fantastic. You guys are amazing. So I don't know if really quickly you want to do a round robin and just say y'all rock to everyone who's watching, or if there's just something you want to say really quick, Damon?
Yeah, no, obviously you all rock. Thank you so much for hanging out with us over these past 4 days. Happy E3, everybody.
On behalf of Soup Pot, which was one of my favorite games at the GameSpot Showcase, Salamat Sayong Lahat.
Thanks for listening to me talk about Lady D and Bayonetta my name's Avli. You can find me at G4 Content.
And,
Dan!
And Dan.
Did you cut off Dan?
That's all. No, have a great day.
Okay.
Thank you. And Dan.
All right. Well, don't worry. They're going to be back here later. We're going to bring them back on stage later. But this is basically our last segment, talking about games and reacting together. But we still have so much left, so do not go anywhere. Make sure you're sticking around, because still ahead, it's our E3 Awards. Which games were the most anticipated from our studios? Stick around and find out as E3 2021 continues. We'll see you in a little bit.
So if Def Jam hit me up to be in the game, give me some muscles or something. What would be the name of my super move? Auto Bruise? That's pretty bad. Rapper turned banger? These are getting worse. The Precious Stones? The Precious Stones. That's what it is. Big ass chain comes off. Pow! Right across the face. It's over. Precious Stones. Boom! Look at that.
IGN Summer of Gaming 2021 is presented by the Amazon original movie, The Tomorrow War, exclusively on Prime Video July 2nd, and powered by Duracell Optimum, the official battery sponsor of Summer of Gaming 2021, and presented by USAA Insurance and Army National Guard. Pursue multiple paths while you serve. Reach your greatest potential with Army National Guard.
Everybody loves watching a speedrun of their favorite game, but what if you got a chance to peek into the mind of the developers behind those games as they watch their hard work get completely destroyed right in front of them?
What is happening right now?
That's exactly what happens on every episode of Devs React to Speedruns. We invite you to ride along with the developers as they watch, react, and enjoy some of the craziest gameplay by the most skilled speedrunners on the planet. Tune in every Saturday for a brand new episode.
If you're not following IGN on social media, what are you waiting for? We're constantly updating our feeds to bring you the latest news, gameplay, custom original content, the best user-generated videos and art, memes, and a whole lot more. Be part of the conversation throughout the year. Follow IGN on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and Snapchat.
Summer of Gaming begins right now.
Hello, and welcome back to E3 2021. Video games are for everyone, and gamers come from all walks of life. So it would seem obvious that the characters and heroes we play in these virtual realities represent that diversity. But the hard truth is, it hasn't always been this way. So we turn to the voices of E3 to discuss Black representation in the games we love.
Hello, I'm Amber. I am a moderator for E3's Black Representation in Gaming panel. Today, I am excited to present to you J.Ann Lopez, Zach TTG, Tanya DePass, and Fiona Nova. We're going to be talking about creating better representation in the gaming space. First, if we could do like a quick brief intro of everybody, starting with J.Ann.
My name's J.Ann Lopez. I'm the founder and CEO of Black Girl Gamers, which is a community-focused platform. Started about 6 years ago now. It is the largest platform of Black women gamers in the space globally. We are a space that do workshop events. We change the narratives in gaming when it comes to representation in the past and the present and future. We also discuss the workforce, and we also do talent brokering as well. So an area that I've moved into is talent brokering of Black women content creators to work with brands.
How you guys doing? Zach TTG. First, I just want to thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to come here. I'm a YouTuber and streamer. I'm part of a group called 2Hype. And we recently just joined 100 Thieves esports organization. So representing those guys too. But yeah, I just make sports content. I stream sports games, make sports videos, play sports. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Hey everyone, I'm Fiona Nova. I am a comedy online content creator. I work at Achievement Hunter, Rooster Teeth, as well as a creative producer at G4.
Hey, I'm Tanya. What I do is I founded and run I Need Diverse Games, which is a not-for-profit aiming to get more people in the industry and keep them there. I also am a partnered Twitch streamer and content creator, and I also do a lot of RPG work. I created Into the Motherlands, which is an all Black and POC crude stream and soon-to-be setting book. And I do a whole lot both in the RPG and video game space.
Awesome. So the first question that we have today is, I'd like for us to talk a little bit about why it's important for games where players create their own characters to have better representation.
Because a character creator can't be, like the 5 different shades of beige that we all get, the nondescript brown that nobody really is in real life. We all come in different shades. It'd be great if if any one of us on this panel could create a real facsimile of ourselves in these character creators. And some games are doing better with skin tone, but a lot of games are still falling behind when it comes to hair. I can't think of many games where I can actually have my hair, which is locks, and they're going to have it not look like yarn or steel wool. And, the overall thing, before anybody else jumps in, is that gaming is global, and they need to realize that it's not just 18 and 35-year-old white dudes playing and buying these games and making these games. So if you're not thinking about the people sitting there with a controller in their hand at the keyboard, you're not thinking about your audience, and my money's just as green as anybody else's. So it's a clear sign you don't actually want my money if you don't think I belong in the game world you're creating.
Basically, everything that Tanya said, and also to add on to the kind of hair and skin tone, is the facial features. A lot of the time when you're playing like a custom character creator in a game, the character will be Black but have very European focused features, so it looks like the character's in blackface, and it's not a nice experience for you to have when you're playing a game. I was literally playing a game yesterday where I created my own character, and I literally just disengaged because I don't like this character. She doesn't really represent me, and she looks weird, and the hair is weird, and it just feels off. And that's a game that's recently just come out, so we still have a lot of work to do in this space, and everything that Tanya said is completely accurate.
Especially character customization is essentially you're trying to put yourself in the game, and if you can't put yourself in the game, you're trying to make someone that looks like you, because you're trying to get immersed into a game and in a world. And if that person's not looking like you and there's no way to make it look like you, then it's just, like what's the point essentially?
I mean, a lot of sports games, like it's hard for me to find my skin tone because it's either like white or black, and I'm both of those. So there's nothing in the middle. The hair, like it's hard to find hair. Like not, you could be maybe a black skin color character, but your hair is like short and straight. Like we don't really look like that. It's hard to find exactly what it is. And I think if you can have like this RGB spectrum of t-shirts, like why can't you have that for skin colors? I feel like the coding is it's not hard.
Yeah.
I understand coding. I know you can do it. It's just a lot of studios don't think about that when they're creating the game.
I know that we touched on it a little bit, but could we talk about what better representation looks like in video games?
Looks like us.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And not just us as well, because
Just so many
if you look on
different
exactly, because if you look on the spectrum, we are on the light and bright, and it's essential to represent all different shades, especially in the gaming industry. And I think it's key to understand that representation has to be authentic and it has to be accurate, and you can't just throw in a black character and think it's going to work. It's not always going to work, because at the end of the day, as people of color or black people, we're going to notice straight away, boom, that's not right. Like, that looks odd. I know Tanya does it a lot. I do it a lot. And we just like, who's in the team? Because we can immediately tell. So I think it needs to also, the representation on screen is a reflection of sometimes, a lot of the time, a reflection of who's working on the game.
Absolutely. That's literally what I was getting ready to say, is you can tell some of the games, like, there's no black people working on these games. There's no, people of color. There's no Hispanic people working on the games, because none of the characters look anything like those types of people at all. And I see that some studios try, but like you said, like when we get a hold of that game, we can see right through it. Like I appreciate the effort, but you didn't do it right.
But I also think it's so easy to just hire a black person to come in and help y'all out. Like, I just think I think it's something that's super easy to fix.
Bouncing off of what we've been talking about so far is, for better or for worse, there has been a big uptick, possibly for, as you guys said, optics. So two phases to this question. One, what can the game industry itself do to help that momentum and keep black people in the public eye, keep our voices elevated? And two, what can we as a community do to help with that momentum?
I would say, I think the key word here is longevity and consistency. I think when it comes to programs, make sure they are on an annual basis, making sure that, you're working with organizations or content creators on an annual basis so that they can continuously have that visibility or either or do the work that needs to be done. That, I think that's the key thing. Again, like I mentioned before, a lot of companies will dip their toe, support, and then leave. And I think that's one of the problems, is that there's no consistency. And I think also the part of the problem is that a lot of game companies, because of the makeup of this industry, they've created this imaginary racial equal race haven that we don't actually have. And so no one really understands how to discuss race and representation critically and well. I think there's a lot of surface level discussion that continues that we should be past a long time ago. There should be some intake programs for companies on an annual basis that should be normal. That should be normal. We shouldn't be celebrating it anymore. That should be a normal thing that should be happening. But again, because we're so late in the game, pardon the pun, it just feels like we should be celebrating things that should already be happening for us. Like, hurry up.
Yeah.
Sorry, basically.
The other thing that happens, this panel notwithstanding, anytime or most of the time when I'm asked to do stuff, it's a diversity panel. It sucks to be brown in the industry. I have a UX degree. I've been streaming for 7 years. I'm creating RPGs. I've been doing a lot of stuff. But anytime I get reached out to, it's like, oh, can you come and talk about diversity? And yes, that is part of my job, but that's not the only thing I ever want to talk about. I want to sit and chill with people about Street Fighter V strats. I want to talk about, I suck at Bloodborne. I need to get better. How can people help me with that? There are things that we can all talk about, that do not involve the trauma of being Black in these spaces. Yeah. And it's trauma. It's not just, oh, somebody was mean to me today, blah, blah, blah. This is some days it's legit traumatic to still be on the internet as a Black person, let alone show your face, anything else. And just give people the resources, give us the space to grow and not make it an after school special. Oh, look, here's this one spot for the brown kids, go. And then give us one laptop, one coding course, and like, deuces, hope you succeed. Give us mentorship, give us these other things. And by give, I mean, you still got to apply, you still got to meet the standard. But a lot of times when I've done programs, I'm one of 2 or 3 Black people. Or I'm the only brown person in the room, the only woman in the room, or non-man in the room, the only outwardly queer person. And sometimes they'll use that. We got all 3 in one person. Let's go.
They do that with me. Yep. And they also use that. And I also can see it where they'll use me instead of like a dark-skinned Black woman because I can pass, right?
It's true.
And
You're more
it's true.
acceptable.
You're more acceptable. Yeah, I am.
I get the same thing.
You get the same thing. You're light-skinned, but you're Black.
But I'm still
you're
Black.
Gay. Yeah. Like, oh, you're gay. You have like all 3. It checks out, or whatever. It's like it's like a checklist.
Yeah.
And it's disgusting, really, and it's very frustrating because I can see it. I know.
Yeah, and I think that us as creators and other Black content creators, I think when we do get these opportunities to say something, we need to speak up and we need to be ourselves. If you get an opportunity to host, you got to put on. You know what I'm saying? You don't conform to what they want you to be. Be yourself. Represent yourself. Like people are saying, like Black people are loud. Keep being loud until they hear us. That's who you are. If you're a loud person, you're a loud person. It doesn't matter if you're Black or white. Just be yourself, because there's other people out there that look like you or that feel like you or talk like you. They want to be represented. So we have to do our part to represent them, because we would want that ourselves if we were in their shoes looking up.
Yeah, because I mean, I even said today on Twitter, we're doing this. I know for a fact if I wasn't light, I wouldn't be where I'm at, because nobody would listen to me as a dark-skinned woman. Nobody.
This is a sad truth, unfortunate. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like, oh no, you're, smart, yourself. I'm like, but if I was darker, that I would immediately be dismissed. Let's just be real.
That is all the time that we have for this panel. I want to thank all of you for making time to come here. This has been very illuminating and very salient. I wanted to go ahead and thank my 4 guests one more time: Jan Lopez, Zach TTG, Fiona Nova, and Tanya DePass. Thank you for tuning in to E3 2021, and we will see you soon.
As E3 2021 comes to a close, we want to take the time to honor the developers' hard work and the oohs and ahs they gave us over the last 4 days. Voted on by representatives from our media partners, IGN, IGN China, PC Gamer, GameSpot, Games Radar, and Game Bonfire, we have selected the most anticipated games that were announced by each developer or publisher, as well as the most anticipated game overall announced all week long. To be eligible for an individual award, developer, publisher, or studio had to showcase more than one game, and we will even honor the best presentation of this year's Expo. So with that, drum roll please, Golden Boy. We present to you the 2021 E3 Awards. All right, starting with our first developer, Ubisoft. The award for most anticipated Ubisoft game goes to Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope.
Okay. I was going to say
didn't see
Rainbow
it coming.
Six Extraction, but fine.
And I was going to say Far Cry. I thought that would have been a shoe-in,
Yeah, me
right?
too.
I didn't see that one coming. But of
well,
course.
when this one was, kind of got out there a little early, everyone was excited about it.
Sure, no, I love Mario Rabbids, so another one I'm all about, yeah.
First game was fantastic. No shocker here. This is cool.
Yeah, makes sense, I guess, on that one. So let's move on then. Gearbox Software closed us out on Saturday's preview night, and the award for most anticipated game from their presentation goes to Tiny Tina's Wonderland. Of course. No offense to Godfall, but of course it was going to be Tiny
exactly.
Tina's. Like, that was the one, right, that we've been aching for more information on, right?
Totally.
Still just getting that sizzle teaser. It's like, okay,
Just
let's a little bit. I know,
just
right?
a little taste, but definitely in for that one. I mean, the cast alone, Will
Sure.
Arnett, Wanda
Yeah.
Sykes, Adam Sandberg, I'm like,
Ashley Burke.
Andy,
Put some respect on the name, all right?
I was
Ashley Burke.
thinking, I don't know why I just said Adam.
I think you're thinking Sandler.
I didn't think
Andy
you. I
Samberg
was
will
like,
be really mad
what?
about that. So
Sorry,
Somebody put this out,
everybody.
send it to
Sorry.
Andy Samberg.
Send it to Andy's people.
Next up for discussion is Xbox and Bethesda, and the award for most anticipated game for Xbox or Bethesda is Golden Boy.
Halo Infinite. Yes.
No Redfall? Dang.
Can you really? I mean, don't get me wrong.
No,
Redfall
Halo
looks awesome.
Infinite.
Go get him arcade.
Yes,
but like,
for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. Well, obviously for it being Halo, but for the future of the franchise, it looks really good. They did a great passover with the graphics, which is something everyone really wanted to see. They also had an awesome multiplayer showcase where they showed a whole bunch of new features like bots that are going to be coming to the game, which is great for players that maybe are a little too intimidated to play against actual players, that they could, go in there, learn the ropes, get in, play some Halo against their friends. It's awesome. I'm so excited for Halo Infinite.
All right. Square Enix caught our attention with their list of announcements, but the award for most anticipated Square Enix game goes to Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yay, you're all smiles.
I am all smiles.
Yeah.
A shoe-in again. Eidos Montreal coming out. This is what we've been talking about all week long when we were previewing and hinting around about rumors, right? Of Eidos Montreal, incredibly talented studio. Deus Ex, a game franchise, and especially their two, that has cemented them to so many fans as an amazing developer. But it's a different kind of game. It's an IP maybe you don't connect with, maybe you don't get involved. Putting Marvel in front of that, I think, is really going to boost their profile and show the world what they can do the same way Insomniac did with Spider-Man.
It was such a great presentation, too. I mean, we got such an inside look at the game and saw the mechanics and just how the characters look, and the funny lines delivered, so I'm excited for that one.
Of course.
Yep.
The PC gaming show was a lot of fun and brought us so many looks at an array of cool games on the horizon. But the award for most anticipated game of their presentation goes to Songs of Conquest.
Okay, interesting one. Yeah, oh yes, this one was actually really nice.
I mean, look at the art style
the
right
animation.
there, right?
Pixel art style. I mean, that goes to show you too how many games were shown at the PC Gamer
More than
Showcase.
30, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But this is Coffee Stain, I believe, a great group. This is going to be a game to look out for. Undoubtedly, looks fantastic, and if it's a Coffee Stain production, it's going to have great value.
It's going to be good.
So many games embracing the stylized pixel art, and I love it.
Yes.
I'm here for it. I'm here for the classic twist, baby.
So did the entire media panel. That's all they talked about all week, right? Future Games wasn't to be outdone with a list of titles to catch our eyes. And the award for most anticipated game goes to Immortality. Don't read ahead. Don't read ahead.
Sorry, I cheated.
You don't before I say what it is.
This is a very ominous teaser here. If you guys
100%.
remember,
Yeah.
the poster's just going up in flames, as you're about to see behind us. So, I mean, for me, the music got me, and it was just the mystery of this one. So I definitely want to see more.
Sure. Well, I mean, coming off the success of Telling Lies, right? A game that relies on video footage, right? Getting into it. Her story, the game before that really established this from Sam, right? Going in, what's the story? You being the detective, figuring it all out, immediately shot to the top of my list as well.
Yeah.
Okay, I won't cheat anymore.
Thank you. Don't. And Golden Boy, don't you either. All right?
Promise.
And Television knocked our socks off with a family-friendly console reveal, and the most anticipated game from that presentation is Asteroids.
Simple, baby.
A classic.
It's a classic,
right? Yeah.
You can't be mad about that, dude.
Yeah.
I put Earthworm Jim.
Yeah, but that was just like they're working on an Earthworm Jim. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They
exactly.
didn't show the game. This was all about how the controllers work and getting everybody together to play a simple version of something, and that's Asteroids.
Asteroids wins. Okay.
Okay, good. It's got Jackie's seal of approval, everybody. We're all right.
That's a real award.
When it comes to indies, there are so many great indie titles to choose from, and they all show us that there's really no gap between small games and AAA games in 2021. The award for most anticipated indie game goes to Falling Frontier.
Oh, yeah.
This one got you too? This is on your radar?
Yeah, this one looked really good. I mean, well, for one, anything with a space, angle to it is always going to be a winner for me. And I believe this is the one that was like more of that strategic type of atmosphere that it presented. So I actually really like this game. And again, the Indie Game Showcase was very competitive as well.
Yeah.
Lots of great games shown. Congratulations to them.
And I think, the indie scene bled so much beyond the showcase, right? Where there were so many different indie games peppered throughout presentations, different publishers, even GameSpot today, like they had so many great things. Competitive space for sure. Speaking of competitive, Greg Way, Freedom Games established themselves again as a dev that makes family-friendly games that are fun. And the most anticipated one from their announcement goes to Airborne Kingdom. This is the first one I will argue about.
Okay.
What? Who did the dog sit?
I was like,
Come on. It's a great game. I'm not knocking it.
awesome.
To the
It does
rescue.
look really
no love
good.
for To the
Freedom
you are-
Games.
Cafe Manager.
Exactly.
They had
Aye.
so
Too many good games.
many games.
There was
Too
too
many
many.
good games.
For me, and I think for all of us, and even for our media friends, I think Freedom Games was like a star of the show for us. So many great games from that group, and I'm so excited to see what they're going to be bringing in the future. Because now that they're on the map, I'm sure more people are going to be paying attention.
100%, yeah, and I think their presentation was so good at putting developers as people front and center.
Yeah.
This is who we are. We're a small team. This is what we're
Goes
doing.
to show how passionate we are that we were like, there's so many games, you know,
True.
so it was
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah,
Good job,
showing their
Freedom
story
Games.
to create the story. I love that.
Exactly. All right, Capcom is no stranger to anticipated games in their library, and after Monday's presentation, the panel voted the most anticipated game is The Great Ace Attorney. Two great Japanese Phoenix Wright
I
games
thought your
coming here.
Monstie was gonna get this
You know,
one.
I
ain't
thought
gonna
the
lie.
Monstie would too, but I
was
think-
ready to say Monstie stories too as
I'm
well.
glad, I'm glad
Monstie,
we're getting
start
it
the
in here.
hashtag.
Monsters. I did.
This game
I
looks
did.
great though. I
Of
can't
course
take
it
away.
does. Are you kidding me? Yeah. I mean, Phoenix Wright already has such a passionate audience. To finally get these games over from Japan, to go back in time, see the lineage of it, be in merry old England. Oi, governor. I mean, come on.
Yeah, and Herlock Sholmes.
Yes, exactly.
Best name ever. So that's a winner.
love it,
That's
love
a winner.
Exactly. Good job, Capcom. Now, Nintendo opened up the final day today, dropping a few gems, but the award for most anticipated announcement had to go to Breath of the Wild 2. Come on, Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild 2.
Easy, yeah.
I'll argue this one, man. Metroid was great.
Oh, Metroid
but
was
I know people are
really
going to fight me
good.
on that one. I'm just
Yeah.
excited for Metroid. Sorry, don't mind me.
Are you excited for Breath of the Wild 2, though?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I am. Obviously, Nintendo showed a lot of awesome stuff. Breath of the Wild 2, though, we were hoping we were going to get it. We got a lot more than what I was anticipating.
Me too.
And this is going to be a special one.
Yeah, of course, targeting 2022. I love how honest they're being of like, we're targeting 2022. Like, there's a lot that goes into this game. A lot could happen, and we are, as we talked about multiple times throughout this entire show, coming off of a global pandemic.
Yes.
So it's a miracle
Yeah.
we're getting any games, let alone the fact that we're seeing Nintendo be transparent about it, let alone the rest of their lineup, including Advance Wars, don't forget.
Oh my goodness, I just want to get my hand on that flamethrower gauntlet thingy and just.
Of course. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
You know, okay.
You don't have rage.
Me and the
A
violence.
little concerned. This is my friend.
We got to see some great things from Eureka Studio. The award for most anticipated game from them is Loop Mancer.
Yes. This one came out of the gate fast, and I think a lot of people were just like, visually stunning.
Yeah.
Side scroller, got a lot of action in there. I'm keeping this one on my radar for sure.
Okay.
This trailer just hit all the check marks. Like you said, animation, the music, protagonist looks amazing. Look
Production
at this
value.
villain.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 100%. So not surprised by that at all.
Yeah.
All right, guys. The appetizers are out of the way. It's time for the big ones. We had a number of great presentations over the last 4 days, making this award a very difficult one to choose. But someone had to, and our panel voted. The best presentation of E3 this year was Xbox and Bethesda's showcase.
Without a doubt.
Pedal to the
Without
metal
a
from the
doubt, yeah.
start. It's all gas. It's Todd Howard. It's Starfield, all the way through to Arcane and saying, "Hey, bite me." You know what I mean? And in between a million different games, what was it? It was more than 30 games with 27 of them coming to Game Pass. I might be getting the numbers wrong,
Ridiculous.
but yeah, the overwhelming majority being Game Pass day and day.
And I just wanted to point out that there was a lot of predictions going into this. I had thought that we were going to get Halo Infinite first, get that out of the way, and then we'll close out with Starfield. That's what I was hoping.
Yeah.
But the fact that Xbox was like, nope, Bethesda, you're going to open and close the show. You're going to give us all the good stuff. Like, I really feel good about this, the future here for Bethesda as a huge Bethesda fan. And yeah, man, this was a great showing. Lots of great games.
I was going to comment on the structure as well. I just thought when they started with Starfield, I was like, ooh, okay, bold choice, you know? And then they had Halo Infinite in the middle, and it was just perfection, everything that I wanted. And then wrapping it up with vampires, I was just like, okay, they nailed it for me. So yeah.
And to put a bow on it, leading into it, they talked about there will be a clear delineation between Xbox and Bethesda, which I for sure thought it was going to be half Xbox, and then now let's turn it to our friends at Bethesda.
Could have been easily like
And instead, they delineated by saying, hey, I'm Todd Howard from Bethesda. Hey, I'm Pete Hines from Bethesda. Hey, I'm Phil from Xbox. And they shook it up that way so you knew what you were getting and how this whole ecosystem was going to work. That's impressive.
Yeah, I felt like the timing was perfect, and they delivered on every single title as much as I wanted. I didn't feel like, oh, I want more.
Yeah.
Whoa, okay, I'm getting a waterfall of info here, so props to y'all.
Great stuff. But there can be only winner for the most anticipated game overall. A tough decision, I'm sure, amongst our media panel, but they decided to give the most anticipated game of 2021 to I was going to see what they wanted. It's Forza Horizon 5.
Wow.
Won most anticipated game overall. Wow. Shocking. Not because Forza's not a great game.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But if you would have asked me, I'm going to say it's going to be Halo or it's going to be Breath of the Wild.
Too.
And you assume you get into one of the classic situations at an E3, right? Where the votes got broken. Where it was that a whole bunch of people went for Breath of the Wild and a whole bunch of people went the other direction for Halo or for whatever, and then here you go.
Well, also remember too, this is 2021, so perhaps the panel was also looking at what games are going to be coming out this year. Forza, obviously, always a winner. Every Forza Horizon game has been brilliant. So this is not a shocker to me because these games are great. Visually speaking as well, ridiculous. Like the whole time we're like, is that a picture? Or no, that's the game. And they knew it and they kept doing it and it worked every single time. Brilliant.
Yeah, I think I was telling Golden Boy earlier that I'm a very awful driver, and so I love games like this because then I can just drive in these beautiful landscapes in incredibly expensive cars and not damage anything.
Yeah, of course, it doesn't cost you anything. That's the best part.
I love these racing games.
Remind me never to get a car with Jackie.
Stay away from riding with Jackie.
That was a shocking winner, though.
It was, but one of the reasons I think it's shocking, but one of the reasons it's really cool is what you said, right? Is that year in, year out, Forza Horizon is great. It's amazing, right?
Yeah.
And so usually when you have something like that, what happens? Oh, you start to take it for granted. Oh, that's going to be awesome no matter what. I'm excited by the bells and whistles. I'm excited for the brand new thing. And then here you are. Everybody understands.
Well deserved.
Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this year's coverage of E3, everyone. A huge thank you to our friends at Binge and iHeartRadio, the #1 podcasting platform in the United States. Of course, thank you to our entire media crew, the team at IGN, and all the developers over the last 4 days. I will leave you with one final message. We will see you all back here in person, live from Los Angeles in 2022. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.